Now, another thing I've been hearing about, which has been creating a lot of buzz, again online specifically, is around a proposed introduction of a national insurance contribution tax on private rental income. Now, national insurance contributions would be akin to, say, Social Security, if you are based in the US, for example. And basically, the sort of justification for this is that basically rental income from second, third, or small portfolios of homes by private landlords is not earned income, it's passive income. Now, that's an interesting way of positioning this because the wealthy, the very wealthy, earn passively if you view a landlord as earning passively. Now, if you speak to many landlords, I don't think they would view themselves as having passive income. I think they would view themselves as working like everybody else to maintain those properties, etc., etc. So it is potentially quite a triggering term to use, I would suggest. But I think for me, putting the philosophical positioning and then the rhetoric and the semantics about this to one side, I think this is something that potentially could happen. And the reason why I think it could happen is because it could be positioned as a form of wealth tax, arguably, in my view, on the wrong demographic. Wealth taxes and asset taxes should be on the ultra wealthy. So these are billionaires and people with, a net worth of say 100 million, 200 million. Those are the kind of individuals I think a wealth tax should be focused on, rather than rich landlords. That's my own personal view. And ultimately, this is a tax that they would be paying. So if you look at the statistics and the records around this, it would show them as the liable parties, which they are, if it's introduced, and they'll be the ones paying it. Now, the reality is the housing market in the UK, and it's the same everywhere, and it's the same with the rental market, actually, in terms of rental stock, as we call it. There's a lot more demand than there is supply. And therefore, many people that are tenants don't really have a choice. And even if they choose to rent somewhere else, they're not necessarily going to find it very easy to find a cheaper rental deal. So the leverage is on the landlord side, in my view. And with that being the case, what I think will happen is that they will simply pass on that cost of the additional tax, as they've done so with increased interest rates, for example, onto the tenant. So it actually becomes an indirect tax on the cost of living for the tenant. And if you are a landlord, and you are subject to this tax, and it's a straight line tax, and what I mean by that is that it's a flat tax rate on all the rental income, then there's a very simple grossing up formula you can apply to work out the additional amount of rent you need to charge to your tenants. So I think from my perspective, my hope is that this isn't introduced, because I think on many levels, economically and philosophically, it's not something I'm in alignment with. But if it is introduced, then I think it's going to disproportionately impact those that are struggling the most, i.e. those that are not in a position to buy their own home, who are relying on, a tenancy. And as many people in that situation know, it's very, very difficult to feel secure around, your tenancy when you are subject to increases based on the fact that the landlord, more often than not, is in a position where they can increase prices and quickly find a new tenant, and you're in a situation where you can't then find a home. So again, it'll be interesting to see if this rumor is realized, becomes true. I think it could, but as I say, my hope is that it does not.